Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel where I continue my saga with the Citroen Xsara Picasso, and I have a big admission straight away. None of the previous work I'd done on the faults has fixed anything, but I would have been a fool to think that draining the gearbox oil and putting it back in, or removing ABS sensors and just putting them back in would have fixed anything in the first place. But I had to try and start somewhere. So we are now actually going to try and improve something. So the gearbox is the main issue. That is what is going to kill the car, I think. So I am going to replace the gearbox oil in it now. And those of you who don't know, with automatics, you can never really drain all the oil because the torque converter keeps some. The gearbox on this car holds about 5 3/4 litres, of which you can only ever drain about 3 litres at a time. So I'm going to try a flushing method, of which this is the first part. So the first thing you need is to make sure you have the correct tool, which is this 8mm square drive, to undo the sump bolt and the filling bolt in the gearbox. I've highlighted that here, looking from the front as to roughly where you find that, along with a closer picture here of what you're actually looking for. And now I'll skip to a little video of draining it. I have warmed the car up, gone for a drive, so the gearbox oil's reasonably up to temperature, and is a little bit thinner, should drag any little particles out if there is any in there. I don't know how this is going to sound. Typically it's a little bit louder, so watch your ears if you're wearing earphones. Well, here we are back with the neglected Citroen Xsara Picasso. I just want to do this while the oil is currently hot. I don't know how I can do all this with just one hand. I haven't even got it jacked up, as you can see. Sometimes I find giving a bolt a little tighten. Now, just trying to get the sucker off here now. Oh, I think I might actually need to. But yeah, sometimes if you've got a stuck bolt, it might sound a bit counterintuitive, but tightening it up a bit first. I'm just going to let this drop into the pan. Try and get you a good shot. Oh, I can actually see through that. But I will detail why I'm doing this again in the next bit, probably in some stills, okay? And while that drains, one of the little successes I did have is, you may remember the water leak the car has, which I'd figured was leaking into the car. So I dusted some talcum powder around where I thought the fault was, as I've used it in the past as a method for tracing where water leaks come from. And I have another little video coming here on what my findings of that are. Now, as I've already said, I haven't actually fixed anything with the Citroen with what I've done, and I hope I've detailed why. And you might have just saw the drip come down there. But one thing I have done, my little trick with the talcum powder, has at least proved to me where my water leak is coming from. you'll see up there the talcum powder's still all fresh, and down there, but down here it's gone into a bit of a claggy mess. Now I can't actually show you with the fan or with the vent where it is, but I have found at the bottom of the heater matrix under there, thanks to this congealed mess here, give me an idea of where the water was coming from, and I have actually found a little seam, some drops of water coming out the bottom of the heater matrix. So at least I have confirmed where that fault is, and I'll be able to get this cleaned up. If I can fix the gearbox fault, because if I can't do that, fixing the rest is not going to be needed, as I will just end up scrapping the old shed off. But just like to prove that the talcum powder fault finding method does actually work if you're looking for a little water leak somewhere. Now I'm just going to head back under the car to see how the gearbox drain is doing. As you can see here, the oil drained out the car seems to be quite a bit. I don't know how much is there. I am going to measure it. And despite putting about 1.5 litres, I think, or so of fresh oil in the last time I was dealing with this, it's all very black. As I say, there'd been a considerable amount still of the old gearbox oil left in there, and most of what I topped it up with was the old gearbox oil, so that's not to be unexpected. You can see I've got 2 litres of it there, and just under 1 litre of it there, so there was the 3 litres that has come out. So I'm just going to install the sump plug back in the gearbox, and here I have some of the oil I'd previously bought, along with another 8 odd litres of fresh stuff. So there's over 9 litres of fresh oil there, which, given you have to put 3 litres in at a time, should give me a chance of flushing it through twice, and then putting a final 3 litres in, hopefully to give me some improvement with the gearbox issue I've been having, which, if you haven't watched the past videos, has been the car not engaging first gear when you pull off. It's only going down into second, having no manual control over the automatic gearbox, and generally just being a bit of a pain to drive. This is what fresh automatic transmission fluid should look like, not the dirty black stuff you saw in the bowl. And the filling hole for this gearbox, and I am just using some old pictures here, so you might recognise some of these, is located on top of the gearbox. This is looking from the front of the car in the engine bay, and as you zoom in you'll just see the square drive plug in the top of the box there. And this again is an old image showing me with the old oil going in, but it was the same method. I just got a little squeeze bottle with a pipe on, because I didn't have a funnel that would reach down into there, and I just 400ml at a time, which is the size of the bottle, just stick in 3 of fresh litres of new gearbox oil. With that done, I refit the plug, and I go for a little drive. And my little drive, initially as I pulled off, the car went straight into first. I'd already tried it through the manual side of the gearbox, and that again went through all the gears while stationary. So it immediately seemed to have had some effect on the car, but I've been bitten by that before. And sure enough, after about a mile of trouble-free driving, it was changing down and up nicely. It was going into first gear, pulling it away with. It's not exactly an urgent car for motion, but it was pulling away cleanly and as swiftly as it ever had. But then, as I say, after about a mile, presumably as the old oil had all mixed in with the fresher oil, it got to a point again where it was only engaging second to pull away and giving me the same problems as before. However, the fact that fresh oil did make some difference leads me to believe it is just an oil problem, and hopefully nothing to do with the gearbox actuation that's in there, because the car's not worth repairing that. So I'm going to continue on this method of just draining the gearbox oil, refilling it, do that using the whole 9 litres of oil I've got, and hopefully that will dilute the older oil in there enough that it gets the pressures and things it needs to give me some extra life out of the car that I so desperately need. But one good thing did come, and the work I had done was, or I did in the previous videos, was to try and get it through the Ministry of Transport safety test here in the UK, and it worked. My ABS lights and everything stayed off long enough to get through, even though they did come on again and are giving me the same problems. And the oil leak I'd cleaned up enough for that not to be an issue. So some of the work that I did actually pay off, and I do know where I'm going now with the water leak as well. But as I say, if I can't get the gearbox working efficiently enough, there's no point in me spending any more money on the car. The gearbox oil I bought, my mother, who went out initially to buy it because I was stuck in with COVID, the first couple of little red bottles cost about £12 each, probably about $15. But the 2 4-litre bottles of oil that I bought only cost me 35 odd pounds for all of them. So, shop around. Try not to let yourself get scammed, but in an emergency you have to pay what you have to pay. And with that, there's nothing left for me to say other than do please subscribe. I would like to get this car fixed. I certainly would like to put some better video out, which I can't really do with the equipment I've got. I at least need a stand, because 2 hands isn't enough to do a lot of the work. And I also would like to get on the V12 Jaguar that is on my drive and put a nice comprehensive video of getting through the issues that's had and getting that up and running again. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Do please stay safe, take care, peace.